Awesome. So, good morning, good evening, guys. Session 6 of our Gen AI Agentic AI training. I hope you all having great learning and thing is a good knowledge sharing for you, learning session for you guys. Hope you're making good progress. So do let me know if you have any questions or if there is any feedback that you want to share that would help me. So today we will be talking about creating the chatbot that we created yesterday. Yesterday we used just the LangChain and FastDB to create that. So today we'll be using a no-code platform called LangFlow. So I think I briefly mentioned about it earlier that LangFlow is part of a data company called DataStax, and they also have a vector database called AstraDB. So AstraDB and LangFlow together, DataStax, and then DataStax was acquired by IBM. So now it's an IBM company. It's a very good, easy to start with, and easy to understand, easy to build the use cases, no code, but it's not a very robust or scalable platform yet. I don't know if it's still in beta or commercially available. It's not much stable. So I've been working with it for a few months, or at least 6 to 9 months now, and I don't see it has been evolving, and I've seen a lot of upgrades and all of that, but I still see some stability issues. So, but good to learn, good to practice. So you can go ahead and check that out. It's free for now to create an account and create the workflows using LangFlow. Okay, now let me open this. So we all know we have been doing this architecture diagram every day. Okay, so I don't want to go deeper again into this and then start doing all of this. But since we are here, so let's get started. Ganesh, LangFlow, LangChain, LangGraph, all part of same company. No, LangChain Academy, when it says, so it will have LangChain, LangGraph, Langsmith, and LangGraph Studio. Okay, that is the stack for LangChain. If you see here, Langsmith, just the stack that shows. Yeah. So it's LangChain and LangGraph and Langsmith. Okay. And yeah, those are the three components. Earlier, as I said, they used to have LangServe, but they retired that. So it's LangChain, LangGraph, and Langsmith. And for so deployment, they have this Langsmith deployment or LangGraph Studio, but majority only these three components: LangChain, Langsmith, and LangGraph. LangChain is the library that we are using for creating agents, creating the RAG applications and everything. LangGraph is for Agentic AI to create workflow orchestrations and all of that. And Langsmith is for evaluation, observability, and all of that, and deployment. Okay. LangFlow is separate. That's what we are looking at. LangFlow is part of DataStax. These issues every day. This is AstraDB. Okay, Astra database. This is a vector database. We talked about so many databases, right? Vector databases. Chroma, Milvus, FireDB, Pinecone, PG Vector, VV8. So similarly, Astra DB is also a vector database from DataStax company. So if you look here, these are the databases that I have created within Astra DB. Okay. So if you open this, you will see again it has an endpoint. It says which region, cloud, endpoint, and all of that. There will be an application token. You need to generate an application token, give some name, generate token, copy that, and keep it. So we will use that token in the LangFlow directly to connect to the Astra DB. Just like we were connecting to OpenAI API, right? Similarly, to connect to this, we earlier used Pinecone API key to connect to Pinecone. Same thing here, we'll use Astra DB application key to connect to the Astra DB. Now, so if we come here, within that database, we have a collection called resume. Default key space, again, you have a three layer key space names. You can have database, you can have key space, then collection, three layered notation that you can have. So we're using default here. This is a resume. Again, dimensions. This collection is going to store 1536 dimensions. That's what we're saying. Similarity metric, it uses cosine search. And there are already 42 records in this that we have stored. You can click on the collection. There are like 42 records in this, but we're not able to see the records. Let's say, okay. So this is the records that we have. Okay. Now you can see this is the chunk, and this is an ID. This is the vector, 1536 vector that we have. This is the file path. Metadata is storing, from which file this metadata came, from which file all this embeddings and chunks are created, which date was created. All this metadata is also stored in a column. So this is the data that is there in the collection. Everybody can see this, right? Are you able to hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So this is the vector database. Okay. Now, if you go here, there is to go here and click on LangFlow. It will take you to the UI of LangFlow to build the LangFlow applications. Okay. So this is, it still says here, see, LangFlow is in public review. So it's still not commercially available. I don't know, sometime back they said available, but still we see this. Not sure. They also have MCP server. They've created their own MCP server. We'll talk about that later. So what you do here is it can create flows. Okay. You can just go click on new flow. So it will give you some templates. One is basic prompting. Just model, you give some prompt and then model gives you response, the basic playground. Then you can create a RAG chatbot architecture. That's what we are going to create now, see now. Then you see agentic, create a simple agent template, or you can just create from blank. Okay, so if you go create, click on vector search, so it will give you this template. So many of the applications you must have seen this, right? You have this connectors connecting from this one part to another part, from here to here. The output flows into input of the other component, and then these are all connected to form a workflow. So this is the RAG workflow. And again, Relating back to our architecture diagram, the bottom part is the left side where you build the library and then you store the data, and then the top part is the actual application user query and response. Okay, we go here. I don't want this. If you go agent, it gives you some template for the agent. Okay, simple agent, and then you can start building on and adding components to it and all of that. So that's another template that you have. Next, if you want to go from the scratch, they'll just give you the blank canvas. This, we can start adding components. So on the left hand side, you will have all of the components. Whatever you want to add, you just drag and drop. Okay. So you have bundles. You see Amazon, Anthropic, Azure, Chroma, ClickHouse. So all of these components, Cohere, DataStack, DeepSeek, Fires. So all of this are available. What LangChain, LangWatch, Mistral, MongoDB, NVIDIA, Olama, OpenAI. Okay. So if you just get this, if you say OpenAI model, right? So you drag and drop, it'll give you option for you to select which model you want to select from OpenAI. Okay. And then corresponding OpenAI API key that you want to provide the key to connect to that. Temperature you can set. Then input message, what you want to give, system instructions, what you want to give to the model. If you go here at the top, if you click on the code, this will show you what is the code behind that widget that you put it on the drag and drop that widget on the canvas. So this will show, obviously it's Python code behind OpenAI component, and then JSON mode, OpenAI base, API, OpenAI API key. It refers to temperature, seed, max, retrace, all of these parameters in their model name. This is the auto-generated code whenever you drag and drop on the canvas kind of thing to look at. So whenever you do there are a lot of all of these flows, you can connect input and output. You can connect any of these. So if you want to say Chroma DB, okay, so you can get a Chroma DB here. Same thing, you can have a collection name, you can have a directory name, you can create query, you can add embedding model here that you want to put in. Let's say I have an OpenAI embedding here. Okay. I'm just showing just some components. So this embedding model right here, you can go and connect here. So this is how in the LangChain, you write all the code to chain components and call the functions, pass the embedding models and all of that. So here you just drag and drop and use connectors to connect the components. So which means that this Chroma DB will use this embedding model to embed and store the data in this. Okay, so like this, you go and start exploring and adding the components. I will just go delete this. Let's open this workflow. We talked about the same chatbot, right? Now, if you see on the left-hand side, as I said, all of these components are available for you to drag and drop. Okay? So each, they have, earlier it was by type, like embeddings, databases, input, output, and all of that. Now they have put it in bundles based on the vendors and all of that. But if you remove the bundles and say go to components right here, now here you can see chat input, output, text input, output. You can see data sources, where your data is coming from, SQL database, URL, web search, API request. Then you have models and agents. You can drag and drop a language model. You can drag and drop an agent. You can drag and drop embedding model, just like we just saw that. There's MCP tools, LLM operations. You can add directory, read file, write file. So there are a lot of components here that you can use, drag and drop, and use each component to build the workflow. Okay. And then you have MCP server. We will come when we talk about it later. So bundles you can use, but components you can use here. Now, if I say the same component, let's go here. There is a file just like, yeah, Girish.
Yeah, Arun, so what we're building is we're building a chatbot for the resume that you're putting in your database, correct?
Right.
So, just trying to, put the same example for a company or a startup, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
That so this is also an RAG application, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how do I secure my data? Meaning, if I'm using a public domain like this or a public, not a public domain, but public uh, infrastructure like this, and is it my data is secure at the database level or is it secure at, I mean, where is it secure?
Both. See, first thing here, you are connecting to Astra DB. Here you have application token, right? So
Yes.
you can have your authentication when you create who can access these tables and who can access the application key, the API key. You can create at each database level, each collection level, and give access and then do authentication at that level. And then if you come here, when you create this, you are not going to give this to the users directly to come here and use. This is for the developers. Now, what you're going to give is API access to this entire application. So when you click API access, it gives you in Python, JavaScript, or URL. So this is just like your any other endpoint you can secure. So before you hit the end, when you hit this endpoint, you do your authentication, authorization, access, everything, and then you will hit this URL. You give access to this URL to hit this RAG application.
Yeah, so what you're saying is, very similar to, any other application that
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
run, IBM is not storing any of the data. It is only accessing this data, but the application here also is not,
See,
though
think of it like an AWS.
AWS. Okay. Yeah.
You have built some functions, Lambda function or something on AWS, or think of it as Informatica. You have built this workflow in Informatica.
Right.
So how are you securing your data and everything in Informatica?
Right.
Right? That's the same thing, same application. So this is another cloud. When you buy this DataStax cloud on IBM, the entire your network, your account is all secure, just like your AWS account, like your um, Snowflake account, like your Databricks account. It's all secured with credentials and data governance and everything. On top of that, you have these endpoints that you expose to your internal customers or external customers, and then you secure who can access what. And data, you have already, it's in separate database. It's not us, right? So it can be Astra DB or it can be your own, let's say, Pinecone database that you have on your own AWS or Azure cloud. So it will connect from here to your cloud, and then you can see access control there, whether they have access to get that data, use the data or not.
So
Okay.
the data stacks is more like an hyperscaler.
It's more like, no, hyperscalers are these, right? I mean, AWS, Azure,
Yeah.
and Google.
So
This
this is
is
deploy.
IBM Cloud. So this is more like application provider, you can say, service provider, SaaS provider.
So if I
I would
have a
compare
data
it
stack,
more to like IICS, Informatica, or Snowflake, or any of these service providers, or Salesforce, SFMC Cloud,
got it.
Salesforce Cloud.
So as a startup, I just need access to data stacks because this one is hyperscaler agnostic, model agnostic, and database agnostic.
Yes, absolutely. Because yeah, when you launch this, it runs on the cloud. Your data stacks you again install on any of these AWS or Azure or any of the cloud. This is separate, so you can choose any vector database that you want here. You can choose any model that you want here because your model is again maybe on your own cloud internal network. It can be Azure OpenAI. So you have your own endpoint to access the Azure OpenAI endpoint from here. So so that authentication is separate. The vector database authentication is separate. This is just a workflow. Uh, you can schedule and run, or it's like endpoint, just running this chaining workflow function, connecting to all of those and giving you the response. This can be deployed and given access using the API. You can also embed this into site. If you have your own website, like chatbot, you have your website, you just embed this into your this chatbot into your website. So whenever you access this, it will directly hit this server and get response from this. Okay, so deployment is separate where you use, and all of these components have their own security layers, what you can access, what you cannot access. Okay. All right. So let's move forward. So we have here same thing like yesterday. File. You can upload a file here. Basically, your our resume, just like we did in the Google, right? So we can upload this. Here it is just a file. You can also have just like you can give a directory. So this directory can also be your source, like S3 or whatever the files are coming in. It can automatically read and parse the content. So once you read the content, there is a split text. So this is another component. Split text, remember we did character text splitter. What is the chunk size and what is the overlap? We can give those parameters here, or is there a separator? Then this component will just split this into chunks. These chunks are passed to store into a vector database. Okay. Now, before writing to vector database, obviously you need to convert it into the embeddings. So then here you have a database. We are using Astra DB, right? There is a database you can select, and there is a collection within that database. You can also directly create new database from here because these two are native. They are on the same platform. So you can also create a new database from here in the Astra DB. And then, of course, new collection you can create from that same database. You can create a new collection from here. So it will show you all the information because you have given the AstraDB application token directly here. And there should be some. Here, if you go to settings, the global variables, here's where you give the uh, tokens, say the credentials you can store here as a credential. So if you click this, you can add the value here. Okay, token and value here. Okay, so the OpenAI key I've stored, application token I have stored, and then so that is the vector database details. And then you have embedding model. So you connect this embedding model. So it uses this embedding model to embed, create embeddings and store in this vector database, these chunks, embedding model, database, all three are connected here. So what is the embedding model that I am using? I am using OpenAI embeddings. So this is the model name and this is the key to access, right? So that's it. Just like you see the architecture diagram, you connect exactly the same, these components. And then when you run this, it will automatically read the file. You can run individual components. You can run from here, run component, whatever is connected in the pipeline, this lineage, all of these components will be run. And the data is stored in the Astra DB. Okay. Now this bottom part is done. So if you go to the stop part, right? So this is your application. As I said, when the user query is coming, what happens? So I have a chat. A chat input here. You can add any question here, just like the user question goes here. And this chat question, right? So remember from the architecture, it has to go to two places, right? Here, this query, one, it should go to the retriever through, it should pass through embedding model, go to vector database and get results. Another, it has to go to the prompt directly, right? Because that is the question that it goes to the model, question and results. So query here is now going to, this query is being passed to two places where it is going. So if you see the chat message here, first thing it is going, it is connected to this here, prompt directly to the question, right? So this one directly it is coming in, this one. So directly and connecting to the prompt. The second path here is it is going to the vector database to get the retrieved results. Now, we said it has to pass through the embedding. So we also added an embedding model here. Text embedding 3, same embedding model. So whenever I give a question, it goes here and here. When it comes to Astra DB application, it first uses this embedding model to embed this query and then get the results from this collection. So this data frame. So this retrieved results are sent to a parser to parse the text. So once that is parsed, both the results and the question are sent to a prompt, and the prompt is sent to the model. So this model, what is the model I'm using? GPT 4.1, OpenAI key. So the prompt is sent and the model response is sent to the output. Okay, so exactly the same architecture as per our RAG chart bar. That's what is built here. Now, as I said, we go to playground. I can say here, this is the question. What are the skills mentioned in the resume? So it gives you all of this response. Okay. I can ask summarize the projects into bullet points. This is as good as just your chatbot UI. Okay. So it is getting projects in 10 bullet points. Give me the phone number, email, linking of the this applicant. It's not able to get the phone number, email. Okay. Uh, let's try something else. Okay. I don't know. So it's not recognizing the
Will try
yesterday.
mobile number.
Let's just say not recognizing for some reason.
I think it's referring to current text only, not the whole resume, right?
Should get the question should always hit right. Okay, let me. So I mentioned the contact details. Yeah, it does not. I don't know. Maybe it is removing it before storing or internally. Don't know, but it's not able to recognize this from the resume. Rest of the data, it is right. It's able to store. But that is something that you need to look at what is there in the retrieved results and troubleshooting and all of that, where it is stored, how it is stored, chunking strategy. So that's what we said, right? Each model, each embedding model, each database, they get treated differently for data. So it's always use case based. What should be your chunking strategy? What should be your how do you do your chunking? How do you do your overlap, embedding models and all of that? It should be, if we have, it should be there in the first chunk. Um, but it's not in the same sequence always, never in the same sequence. So it is here, but it's not able to get that results.
I think if you can add more overload, chunk overload, like
Does not. So it's not recognizing it. Anyways, it still says it's not there in the provided context. So that's fine. But that's something for troubleshooting and figuring out. But we are focusing on how to build the application here at the highest level. So this is how in the no code platform you build it, and then how do you when you deploy, right? So I was showing this. How do you go and get this? So I take the what as the boilerplate code, for example, and here I'll just create a new. notebook and paste this. Okay. So it gives you an URL. So this is the URL you are going to hit. Any of you have the Collab notebook open? Anybody? I just want to see if you can try this from your end. So if I go back here, there is a generate token. So I'll just go generate this token. So this is the token, copy this token. And all I need to do is go and replace this token here. This is what authenticates this endpoint. Okay. That's all I need to do.
I have it open. I don't understand anything here.
Let's run this.
Arun, I have the collab open.
Yeah. 1 second. Let me run this and then let's say if I give you this. Yeah, you can copy that and see here, input value, output. So you're getting the results here, output results. Of course, it's not in the formatted because it's the API, but you can invoke it. So can you share your screen?
I'm not able to copy.
Girish? You're not able to copy?
I'm not able to copy this. One second. It's not letting me copy anything here. Okay.
Strange.
Okay, copy. Let's see.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, 1 second.
I tried, it works.
Can you share your screen? Anyone who's trying?
Okay. Replace function. I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, we can see that. Yes. Okay, great. So let's imagine, right? Deployment. Deployment is all about the same thing that is deployed that entire application onto that endpoint. So that endpoint you can call from anywhere, from any application. So let's say you build a UX UI, using Fast API or using Streamlit application or anything. You build a UI page, you have a chat or text and everything. So the moment you submit or click, you just call this endpoint and everything runs in the background and you get the response. You parse the response and then display it as the response. So that's what your chat GPT or whatever is doing, right? Same thing you submit, it goes user's endpoint and goes and comes back. Of course, it works on the streaming response, not the IO response, so that it does not wait until everything is generated when you do the GPT and all of that. But this is how all that your deployment, and you mount it on an endpoint. You can scale this application once you deploy. You can scale it using your CPUs, GPUs, or if you have multiple user number of hits per second, more number of hits, then you can scale it using Kubernetes pods or clone it, whatever you want to do with containers and all of that, as I said. Okay, so this is your Lang stacks. Okay, data stacks. You have LangFlow. So when we talk about agents, we'll come back here, and then we also create an agentic AI application using the flow. But for now, yes, so this is what we wanted to talk about today for the application, LangFlow application. Building chatbots, building RAG architecture using the LangFlow no-code platform. Good. Any questions about this? Is it clear? You can go and just create a data stacks, go to, just click LangFlow or .com or click data stacks, AstraDB. I think the entry is through AstraDB. Once you create your account, you can create a vector database from here, or you can go to click here, it will give you LangFlow. You can go there. And then you can create from here also, you can create databases, drag and drop several models and play with it. Okay, so this we will wrap up here, take a break, logical pause, and then the next session after the Christmas break will be holidays. Okay, after the holidays we will come back on January the 3rd or 4th. 1 second. January 3rd. Okay. So meanwhile, we'll post the videos, the notebooks, some assignments, and projects, the chatbot projects, all of this. So keep in touch offline in the groups, collaborate and practice, start building something. When we come back, if anybody wants to do a demo, you're all welcome. Build a chatbot, different use case. So we have built the resume screening. So take different use cases, explore. You have a week, 10 days, holidays, whenever you get time, if you get time, try build something. And then, once you come back, we can talk about it, discuss and demo. And then from there, we will review some of the RAG, maybe another platform, or we'll just continue from there, get into the new topics, agentic AI and all of that. We have a lot of things to cover. We have agentic AI, we have platforms like, Agno, Crew AI to build these agentic AI applications. We have monitoring and tracing. We do Langsmith that we talked about today from LangChain Academy. We will do model evaluation with LangWatch. We will do guardrails. Of course, we'll do MCP servers. And then probably if we still get some time for these sessions, we'll explore some agent kit or assistance from OpenAI. And of course, we'll also do definitely some projects, architecture, use cases, and all of that. Great.
Wait,
Yeah.
can I have a question?
Sure.
Yeah, like for maybe a couple of minutes, you can talk about you yesterday you shared everything we can do the RAG thing via the collab, and today you showed the LangFlow, right? That we can automate via drag and drop. But in actual production deployment, what is the stack people use in the field, like to deploy this? Do they do this via LangFlow and then they package it into some other framework to deploy in production, or they do it individually?
Yeah. So at this point of time, it is more, I would say, code based. Again, it depends on the skill sets, right? So any company, who do you have resources? If the people, most of your team is in Java, if they do applications using Java. If the team knows skills have Python, they choose Python as a language. So same thing, right? at this point of time, as you can see, LangFlow is still not commercially available. This is still in beta, right? So it's not, I wouldn't say it's still hugely adopted in production yet. Most of it is still going through LangChain, Crew AI, LangGraph, Autogen. So these frameworks that they use to build the Agentic AI or the RAG applications, it's still, I would say, mostly using the Python applications. UI, yeah, it's nice to use, but I think it's still some time in future. The very, I would say, see, if you are writing ETL, right? You'd still used to write SQLs, used to write stored procedures, PL SQL procedures to do the data engineering. It took a while to adapt UI based like Pentaho or what is that, Green something, and then Informatica. Then it came Informatica Cloud. So the evolution slowly happened, right? So I think that's where even all of these adoptions will come. OpenAI has given agentic all platforms to drag and drop and build agentic AI like N8N. There are some places where they are doing automations, workflow automations using these platforms like N8N, Zapier. But when it comes to enterprise to build RAG or agents, I would see most of them still going through the libraries, using libraries and building the components just the traditional way.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can add to what just Arun said, right? I mean, and I'm seeing this practically at my organization. There are these kind of applications. Ganesh, I think I believe it's three parts to it. One is the way we just built it. There are startups and really small scale companies or upcoming companies that cannot afford bigger platforms like an SAP,
Right.
Oracle, the Salesforce, these kind of, because all of these companies, they have their own AI studios, right? And they're building applications on top of their AI studio. So the RAG applications are built within these applications. They have their studios, they have their hubs, and all of these hubs are again very similar to the data stacks, which is hyperscaler agnostic, model agnostic, and also to a large level, to a large extent, database agnostic, right? So bigger companies, they're still going with, as Arun said, application development using their own core team, and preferably rely on some of these bigger companies or bigger platforms, and then they go about their business.
Yeah.
Smaller companies, I think they would explore something like this that we just built.
Yeah, at our company, right, we have Azure OpenAI, so internally deployed endpoint. So we don't, with our application, we have internal application as well. It's kind of a firewall. Everything goes through that. We don't connect to OpenAI directly. We have all the production non-prod endpoints that are deployed on our network. We use those endpoints. And once we authenticate, behind that firewall, we connect to the OpenAI, that's the model that is on the network. And we are using like GitHub Copilot and all of that mostly. But applications we built agents, we used Crew AI framework, all code based, using Python, using VS Code. We built the applications. And then we just used Azure Cloud, Azure Functions to deploy that application and integrated with Microsoft Teams, team hooks, right? So if you can just invoke that application from Teams using the web hooks. So the Teams is integrated. So you can just go to the Teams and connect to the application. It will hit the Azure function, run it, and then give you the response asynchronous. So that's the architecture that we did, high level. But yeah, as I said, right, many of the companies do these projects in silos. Silos in the sense each department have their own use case. They will be exploring it. So, and it's always starts with POCs and MVPs, right? So you don't use a commercial license or enterprise product to do that unless you see a lot of value, you have ROI defined, and then you have huge traffic that you want to handle, control, support. That's when the commercial and the licenses and the platforms come in much later. But to start with, everything starts, learning, practicing, trying out POCs, all the open platforms like LangChain, LangGraph, Crew AI for building these agents. Okay, all right. So we are at time. As I said, today's session is shorter. Happy holidays. We'll meet back. Connect me on LinkedIn. So just share. We did a 3-day boot camp last week. It was a tremendous success. We had like almost 200 plus people joined across every day, like 70, 75, 80 people, 80 plus people joined. And then we did a high level of this thing. But then we have cohorts coming, next cohorts for people who want to go through this journey with us, just like we are doing. So spread the word. We can look at helping people adapt, learn, and be successful next year.
Yeah. Hey, Harun, sorry, like, is there any programs we can try before we meet the next class? Are you going to give us something to try on ourselves?
Yeah, we'll post some assignments. So first, I would suggest get all of these notebooks, whatever we have posted, get them, run it, have a feel for it, execute, and see if you're able to see the results, and do the RAG with different inputs, as I said, right? So use different files, source files, and then try creating RAG, use different models, different embedding models, different vector databases. It's like, mix and match, permutations and combinations, and try that. And that will give you a good confidence. So basically building chatbots is what you can do over the holiday season. But yeah, we'll give you some documents or some assignments kind of a thing.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Happy holidays, happy learning. We'll see you on the other side. 3rd January, next session. Okay? Great. Take care. Keep in touch offline in the groups. Keep talking.
Bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.